Hi, Annie. Good morning. Online people, please confirm my voice is audible or not.
Yes, it's audible.
Thank you. So we'll start the class. So as part of today's session, we'll discuss about one new topic, which is nothing but merge, or we can able to call it as a upsert. So within the BigQuery, we can able to perform one operation called as nothing but merge, or we can able to call it as a upsert operation. So here simply we can able to say upsert is nothing but we are going to perform both update operations plus insert operations at a time. So whenever you want to perform both update and insert operations at a time, that kind of operations we are calling it as a upsert, or we can able to call that operation is nothing but merging operation. In BigQuery, if you want to perform upsert operations as per requirement, we need to use merge keyword. So within the BigQuery, as per the requirement, whenever you want to perform the kind of upsert operations, then what we are going to do here, we are going to use the keyword called as a merge keyword. We don't have any keyword called as a upsert keyword in the BigQuery, but if you want to perform the upsert operation, here we are going to use the keyword called as nothing but merge keyword. What is the meaning of upsert? In the name only you can able to see the information. We are performing update and insert operations together. Whenever we are going to perform update and insert operations together, such kind of operations only we can able to call it as a upsert operation. In the BigQuery, whenever you want to perform any kind of upsert operation, then we are going to use the keyword called as nothing but merge keyword. Okay, just we'll see one example. With that, you can able to get the clear picture. Just 1 second. Now, for example, I'm having the users table. In this user table, I'm having the columns like this: user ID, username, user location, and is active. For example, these are the different columns we are having in the user table. And in this table, already we are having the data like this, for example. So for example, this is the table we are having. And in this table, we are having the data for 4 different columns. And we are having the values as 1 and 2 and name as Srini and Vasu. And coming to user location, we are having Hyderabad and Bangalore. So this is the way we are having the data. Now my requirement is I am having that source table as user underscore stage. So if you remember our end-to-end flow of the BigQuery, what we are doing, we are loading the data from GCS to confirm zone table, or we can call it as a stage table. From the confirm zone table, we are loading the data into our semantic zone table. So this is the flow we are following as part of loading the data as part of our BigQuery and from the GCS, we are loading the data into the confirm zone. From the confirm zone, we are loading the data into our semantic zone table. Now, just assume that this is our semantic zone table, or we can call it as, for example, our target table. Just assume that this is our target table or this is our semantic zone table. In this table, we are having the data like this. For this table, from where we are going to get the data? We are going to get the data from the confirm zone table, or we can able to call it as a staging table. Now, for example, in the staging table, we are having data like this. So within the staging table, we are having the data like this. Now, my requirement is I want to load data from user underscore staging table to users table. So my requirement is I want to load the data from the user underscore staging table to users table. And so this is the way I want to perform the data loading operation. So as part of the BigQuery process, we need to load data from GCS to confirm zone table. From confirm zone table to semantic zone table, we need to perform the data load operation. In this example, what I'm telling, users table is a semantic zone table, and user underscore staging table, just I'm giving the name here. You can think this is the kind of CJ table, or we can call it as a staging table. Now, from which table we need to perform the data load operation. From the staging table to target table, we need to perform the data load operation. But coming to target table, already we are having the data or not? In the target table, already we are having the data. Which records we are having? We are having the data as 1 and 2. And these are the values we are having in the target table or in our semantic zone table. Now, into this table, I want to load the data. From which table you want to load the data? From the stage table, we need to load the data. Indirectly, as part of this example, what is the source table? What is the target table? In this whole example, which table is going to act as a source table? Which table is going to act as a target table? You can able to say user underscore stage table is acting as a source table. What is the target table here? We can able to say user table is going to act as a target table, or we can able to say CZ table is a source table and SZ table is a target table. Now you try to give the answer. Once we are going to load the data from the source table to target table, after loading the data in target table, how we are going to see the records? Any guesses? Obviously, we are going to have these columns. Now, my question is, in this table, already we are having the data. On top of this data, we are loading the data from the staging table. If you are loading the data from the staging table, what data we are going to see in the target table? If you see in the target table, already we are having 1 and 2. Now, from the stage table, we are loading the data for the 3 user ID. Now, this is the new record or this is the existing record in the target table?
New record.
New record, because in the target table we are having the 1 and 2, but coming to 3, do we have this record in the target table? No. For that reason, this record we can able to call it as a new record. Now you tell me, on top of this new record, generally we are going to perform the insert operation or we are going to perform the update operation? Update. If it is a new record, we need to perform the insert operation, which is nothing but I want to insert this record as is. Just for understanding, I will say this record, I am performing it as an insert operation because this record is not present in my target table. For that reason, I want to load this record as an insert operation. This record I want to insert. But tell me, what about the second record from the source table? This is the first record. This record is not present in the target table. That's the reason we are performing the insert operation. But what about this record? User ID 2. This record is present in the target table or not? This record is present. But if you observe here, user ID is same, name is same, but coming to location, what happened? In the target table, we are having the value as a Bangalore, but now what's the value we are getting? We are getting the value as a Vizag. Indirectly, on top of this record, which operation we need to perform? We need to perform the update operation. Indirectly, whenever we are trying to load the data, if any record is already available in the target table, on such kind of records, we need to perform the update operation. If any record is not present in the target table, on such kind of records, we are going to perform the insert operation. In this example, from the staging table, you want to load data for 2 records and out of these 2 records, user ID 3 is not present in the target table. That's the reason on top of this record, we are going to perform the insert operation. But coming to user ID 2, this record is present already in the target table. That's the reason on top of this record, we are going to perform the update operation. Indirectly, while performing the loading operation from source table to target table, what operations you want to perform? Only update or insert or both the operations? I want to perform update and insert operation. Whenever you want to perform both the operations together, such kind of operations only we can able to call it as a upsert operation. In the BigQuery, how we can able to perform this operation? By using merge keyword, we can able to perform this operation, and it's very simple. We are loading the data from the staging table to our target table. If a record is not present in the target table, that record we are inserting. If a record is already present in the target table, on top of that record, we are going to perform the update operation. Indirectly, you want to perform both update and insert operations together. That kind of operation only we can able to call it as a upsert operation. Whenever you want to perform the upsert operation, in the BigQuery, what we are doing, we are going to use the keyword called as a merge keyword. With this merge keyword, we are going to perform the upsert operations. Okay. Any questions up to here? Please ask me. Any questions? If no questions, we'll do it in the practical way. Once we are going to do it in the practical way, you can able to get the further more clear picture. And what we'll do here is we'll create the users table. We'll create the user stage table. In the both the tables, we'll insert the data. After that, by using the merge operation, we'll try to load the data from the stage table to target table. So what we'll do here is first step, We'll create stage table and we'll insert data here. Second step, we'll create target table and we'll insert data. Coming to third step, we'll load data from stage to target by using merge keyword. So we'll perform all these operations practically. With that, you can able to understand how we can able to use the merge keyword as part of loading the data from the stage table to target table. So my final question here, what is the purpose of the merge keyword? What we can able to say? To perform update operation. What is the meaning of upsert? At a time you want to perform the update and insert operation, that only we can able to call it as a upsert. Whenever you want to perform the upsert, what we are doing here in the BigQuery, we are going to use the keyword called as a merge keyword. Okay, we'll do it in the practical way. So just I'm pinging these commands. I will explain the commands first otherwise. So see here, just what I'm doing here, I am creating one table called as a users table. In this users table, we are going to insert 2 records for our understanding. And in this users table, we are inserting 2 records. In the same way, we are going to create the one more table called as a user stage table. In this user stage table, I am going to insert the 2 more records, which is nothing but we are making ready data in the stage table. We are making ready data in the target table. After that, by using the merge keyword, we'll try to understand how we can able to perform the loading operation. Just I can able to say step 1, create target table. Step 2, insert few records into target table. Step 3, create stage table. And step 4, insert few records into stage table. So for all these steps, what I'm doing here, I'm giving the commands also to you. So we are going to indirectly create the 2 different tables. One is the users table, and another one is the user stage table. In the users table, we are going to insert the records manually. And coming to user stage table also, what we are doing, we are going to insert the records manually. On top of that, we are going to perform the loading operation. From the stage table to target table, we are going to perform the loading operation by using our merge keyword. Just I'm sharing all this information in Telegram group. So please create the tables.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
So like just small curiosity. Yep. So already this topic done, sir, this upset one. Only morning today started. Just I have joined.
No, just now we started. I think maybe you joined 10 minutes late. So
yeah, yes,
just now we started.
Thank you, sir.
And if you miss the first 10 minutes, no worry. So anyhow, we are going to discuss it in a practical way. So as part of practical, just I will repeat it one more time.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So from where we have to create, from where we need to perform all these activities, please perform all these activities from the console. Please perform all these activities from BigQuery console. So please open the BigQuery console. In that BigQuery console, whatever the queries I shared in the Telegram group, please run those queries. While running, just to try to understand what we are doing. We are not doing any new thing only. Just we are creating the 2 tables. One is the users table, other one is the user stage table. In both the tables, we are inserting 2 records for our understanding perspective. And actually, if you observe here, I given the database name as a sample Qt. Please change the database name. Whatever the database name you are having in your system, please give the database name. Here I given the sample Qt, that is the database name available in my system. So please create the tables and please insert the data. It won't take more than 2 minutes because I already shared the queries. Please run those queries in your systems. Okay, hope you have done all these steps only. So hope you have created both the tables, and in the both the tables you inserted the data. Now we'll try to see the merge command here. Please focus here for a few minutes. See, whenever you want to perform the upsert operation, what is the keyword we are going to use? We are going to use the keyword called as a merge keyword. So whenever we are going to use the merge keyword, this is the way we have to frame the query. And so try to understand how we can able to frame the query. Query is looking like very big one, but it's very easy to prepare this query. Just to try to understand how we are going to build the query here. First, what we are doing? We are using the keyword called as a merge keyword. Now you tell me into what table you want to merge. Into the staging table you want to load the data, or into the staging table you want to load the data? I want to load the data into the target table, or we can able to call I want to load the data into the semantic zone table. For that reason, as part of using the merging command, here we are going to specify merge into the target table. Whatever the target table you want to load the data, that table name first we have to give here. So I'm giving the merge into sample qt.users table, because that users table is going to act as a target table in our example. That's the reason I am giving merge into what table? Merge into the target table. But while performing the data loading into the target table, what is the source table we are using here? We are using the source table called as a user staging table, and for that reason here I'm going to give the one more information called as using. By using what table you want to perform the loading operation? By using the staging table, I want to perform the loading operation. You want to merge the data into the target table. By using what table you want to perform the merging operation? By using the staging table, or by using the source table, I want to perform the merging operation. That's the reason. First, we are going to specify merge with what target table, using with what source table. Those two table names we are giving here. Merge into the target table, using which source table. This is the step one. After that, now see here, when we are discussing manually between this table and this table, how you are finding that which record we need to insert, which record we need to update? When we are checking the data manually in between these two tables, how you can able to find out which record we need to insert, which record we need to update? We are using the column called as a user ID column. By referring the user ID column, we are going to cross verify whether 2 is present in the target table or not, whether 3 is present in the target table or not. Indirectly, in between these two tables, by using which column we are going to verify data is present or not? By using the user ID column. That's the reason here we are going to apply the condition like this. And if you observe, it's a kind of a join condition. What is the condition we are giving? On s.user_id is equal to st.user_id, which is nothing but while performing merging operation, I want to compare data between the source table and target table. By using which column you want to compare the data? By using the user ID column, I want to compare the data. But how we can able to specify this information to the SQL query? Just we are going to use the keyword called as a on keyword. In the on keyword, we are giving it as s.user_id is equal to st.user_id. Okay. Now tell me, when we are comparing this user ID and this user ID, if record is matching, then what operation you want to perform? When comparing user ID column and user ID column, if a record is matching, what it means indirectly? That record is already present in the target table. If that record is already present in the target table, then what operation we need to perform here? We need to perform the update operation. For that reason, here I'm going to say, what is the keyword I'm using? When. What I'm doing here? When matched. Based on which condition you want to match the record? Based on this condition only. s.user_id is equal to st.user_id. Based on this condition, if you are finding any kind of matcher records, then what operation you want to perform. What operation I want to perform, as for example, I want to perform the update operation. If you want to perform the update operation, what is the command generally we are going to use? We are going to use the update command. What is the syntax of update? If you remember, update, table name, set, we need to give the column name, and we need to give with what value you want to update. That is the syntax of our normal update command. And but comment here what I'm doing, I'm giving the update. Do we need to give the table name again? Because already here we given the source table name, we given the target table name. That's the reason no need to give the table name separately. But here we are given the one more keyword called as a set keyword, update set. Now tell me what values you want to update. I want to update data for all the columns, and I don't know in which column data is updated. For that reason, I want to update data for all the columns. For that reason, here I'm giving s.user_id. What is the meaning of s.user_id? S for our target table. Now tell me, target table user ID, you want to update with what column? Target table user ID, you want to update with what column? I want to update this with the staging table user ID column. That's the reason we are giving it as a s.user_id is equal to st.user_id. In the same way, what is the second column? Username. I want to update the username column also. So I'm giving it as a s.username is equal to st.username. One more column, user location. s.user_location is equal to st.user_location. One more column, is active. s.isActive is equal to st.isActive. Indirectly, whatever the 4 columns we are having in the target table, I want to update all those 4 columns by using our staging table. To perform that operation, we are giving the update command like this. But tell me,
sir, do we need this user ID? Already we are comparing the user ID, but still we are updating that one.
Yeah, we are updating. So why we are giving all the columns here is, for example, if you don't know in which column data is updated, in the situation we can able to give all these columns. And for example, you know, as per your requirement, data is changing only in the location column. Then what we can do, instead of giving all these things here,
we can
able to give only
location
column. Okay, just for understanding, I'm saying that I'm giving all the columns here. But if you want, what we can do here is we can able to skip some of the columns by depending on our requirement.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Sir, here are we creating another table or
No.
in target only?
No, if you observe here, as part of merging, I am given the target table. I am given the target table, different table, and I am given the same table here. I am given the same table only. So because as part of this loading operation, we are loading the data from the staging table to our target table. So in this example, what is the staging table? User_stage. What is the target table? Users table. But in the users table, already we are having the data. On top of this data, we are going to perform the loading operation. While performing this loading operation, few records we need to insert, few records we need to update, but we are not creating a separate table. On top of the existing table only, we are going to perform this kind of upsert operation.
So we are updating in target table, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay. Now see, when you want to perform this update operation, when you want to perform, when there is a matcher record or when there is a no matcher record? When there is a matcher record, then only you want to perform the update operation. For that reason, first we are given the condition when match, then I want to perform this operation. Here I'm giving all the columns, and as I told you, if you want to update data for only particular columns, we can able to pass only those columns here. But here my requirement is I want to update data for all the columns, and for that reason, what I'm doing here, I'm giving all the columns as part of my update command. Okay. Now this is the operation we are doing when there is a matcher record. For example, there is a no matcher record between the s.user_id to st.user_id. What it means indirectly? For example, if you see this example, 2 is a matcher record. We are doing update operation. But coming to 3, is there any matcher record in the target table? No. If there is no matcher record, that we can able to call it as a not matcher record only. Now for that matcher record, what operation we need to perform? We need to perform the insert operation. Same information we are giving in the query also. What I'm telling here, when not matched, then what operation you want to perform? So I'm giving when not matched. What operation you want to perform? I want to perform the insert operation. Now you try to give the answer. In what table you want to insert? Into the target table you want to insert. From what table you want to pick the values?
Stage table.
From the staging table. That's the reason if you observe here we are giving it as a insert. We are giving all these columns. Values we are giving from which table? st.user_id. What is the meaning of st.user_id? Is nothing but our users underscore stage table. You know about the insert command and insert into the table name values, but already we given the table names here. For that reason, we are not giving again separated table name here. Directly we are giving insert. On which columns you want to insert? I want to insert data for all the 4 columns, and you need to pass the values. From which table you want to pass the values? From the staging table. That's the reason I'm giving the alias name as a st.user_id, st.username, and st.user_location, and st.isActive. By using this operation, you are going to perform the insert operation. But you tell me again, when we are going to perform this insert operation? When there is a no matcher record. When we are going to perform the update operation? When there is a matcher record. But how it is checking whether it's a matcher record or unmatched record? By using our condition called as on condition. In between what tables it is going to verify that condition? In between your staging table and target table, it is going to verify the condition. After verifying the condition, if there is a matcher record, it is going to perform the update operation. If it is an unmatched record, it is going to perform the insert operation. Now you tell me, all these operations are happening with what? By using which keyword mainly? By using our merge keyword. And this is the purpose of the merge keyword. By using the single merge keyword, you can able to perform both insert operations and also update operation. And this is the one of the regular operation we are going to perform as part of our real-time projects. This is one of the operation we are going to perform regularly as part of real-time projects. And one more thing, this is the one of the advanced concept we need to understand as part of our BigQuery. That's the reason, please try to understand. Don't try to buy hard the query, and try to understand how we are framing the query. Once you can able to understand how we are framing, based on that, for any table, you can able to write the query very easily. Just I'm repeating one more time. What I'm using? Merge. In what table you want to merge? Into the target table. So that's the reason first I'm giving merge into the target table. By using what table you want to perform this merge operation? By using the source table. That's the reason we are giving using source table. In between source table and target table, I want to verify the data. For the reason, we are applying the on condition. In the on condition, I'm giving s.user_id is equal to staging table.user_id. When we are verifying this condition, if there is a matcher record, what it means indirectly, already in the target table, there is a matcher record. On top of that record, I want to perform the update operation. So we are giving update statement. Now, if there is no matcher record in the target table, on top of that record, I want to perform the insert operation. That's the reason we are giving it as a, when there is a no matcher record, then I want to perform the insert operation. This is the way, try to understand how we need to frame the query. With that, you can able to frame same query for any kind of tables as part of our real-time projects. Okay. Now try to give the answer. Once, so already I shared the query slide to you only. In the user table, you are having the 2 records. In the user stage table, you are going to have the 2 records. Now you try to give the answer. If I am going to run this query in the users table, how many records it is going to display? For now, it is displaying only 2 records because you inserted only 2 records only. Now, once we are going to run this query in your users table, how many records it is going to display?
3 records.
It will display 3 records.
3.
Okay, because one record is the performing the update operation. On top of other record, it is going to perform the insert operation. Just I will share this query in the group. Please try to run this query. I shared the merge query in the group only. So please take that query just to try to spend 1 or 2 minutes. Try to understand what activity we are doing on top of this merge query. With that, please try to run this. And please change the database names. And here I'm again giving the sample Qt. In your system, whatever the database name you are using, please give the database name here. After running this query, please give the one more query called as a select star from the users table. With that query, you have to see only 3 records. 1 record should update and 1 record should insert. Please verify that also. So for example, if you are not doing the practicals now only, so I'm going to share all the steps after completion of the class. At least after completion of the class, please perform the practicals, because with only theory, you cannot even understand this concept. For that reason, I am asking you to do the practicals in parallel with me. For any reason, if you are not doing the practicals now, after completion of the class, I will share all the steps to you. With that, please do the practicals after completion of the class at least.
Sir, one doubt.
Yeah, please.
Sir, this use case scenario is after we have transformed the data from a confirmed zone, right? After loading once into the semantic zone table data, then afterwards, if we need to update or insert, then we are going to use this merge keyword.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, so hope all are able to executing this query, and hope you are seeing only 3 records into the target table. Once you are going to see the data in the target table, please verify whether new record is inserted properly or not, and whether existing record is updated properly or not. Please cross verify that information also. Don't think that query executed, we are good only. So please verify the data in the target table. Target table, 1 record should insert and 1 record should update. Please verify whether both the operations are happened properly or not. So again, I'm repeating. So this merge is a kind of a advanced concept in BigQuery. As part of your interviews, please try to explain. You use merge as part of your projects. Just to showcase you are having kind of advanced knowledge on the BigQuery. If you want to showcase that kind of knowledge only, as part of interviews, you can able to mention that you are using merge keyword as part of your projects to perform the upsert operation. Then simply they will ask the question, what is meant by upsert? So what we can able to say? Just I'm repeating the same thing. What is the meaning of upsert? At a time we are going to perform the update plus insert operation. Now, when we are going to perform this operation, when you are loading the data from the source table to target tables, if you want to perform this upsert operation, then we are going to use the merge keyword, or we can able to say when you are loading the data from the confirm zone table to semantic zone table. In such kind of situations, based on the requirements, if you want to perform the upsert operation, we are going to use the merge keywords. Okay, so this is the way simply we can able to understand how we can able to use the merge as part of writing our queries, or as part of loading the data from the confirm zone table to our semantic zone table. Okay, now for example, I want to do the same operation from the cloud SDK. What we can do, Andy? Same query you can able to use, just give it as a BQ query. After that, just to give it as a within the single code, pass the whole query. With that, you can able to run the same query from the cloud SDK also. Okay. Now with this, just we'll start with the other topic. So this is the one more topic pending from the database concepts and also from the BigQuery Andy. What is a database? If you remember, please try to give the answer. I think 15-20 days back, we discussed about what is a database at the beginning of our database concepts. What is a database?
So storing the tables and
Database is nothing but collection of different storage objects. Collection of different storage objects which we are using for the purpose of storing or maintaining the data. So if you forgot to please cross verify our previous classes. So we discussed about database is nothing but collection of different storage objects which we are using for the purpose of storing or maintaining the data. Now tell me in the database set, what are the different database objects we are having? Tables, views, macros, triggers, stored procedures, all those are the different database objects. So we are having the tables and views and remaining objects also. What is a table? Collection of rows and columns. What is a row? What is a column? Hope you remember all these things. And if you forgot, please try to recap all these topics. What's the reason? Because this Saturday and Sunday we are going to conduct the mock interviews. As part of mock interviews, I will ask any kind of questions, whatever we discussed as part of our previous classes. Please start the revision from the today onwards. With that, you will be ready for the mock interviews, which we are planning to conduct as part of this weekend. Okay. I don't want to go again. What is the table? What is the row? What is the column? But here I want to discuss about what is a view, because that is one of the topics we need to understand. So in the simple words, we can able to say view is kind of a virtual table. So what we can able to say here, view is kind of a virtual table. Now tell me, whenever we are going to load the data into the table, what will happen? Data is storing physically or virtually? Here in the tables, your data is going to store physically, and whenever you are inserting the data into the table or whenever you are loading the data into the table, what is happening here? Data is storing physically. Now in the BigQuery, where your data is storing? In the BigQuery, where data is storing?
in the table.
In the Colossus, in the table only, but within the internal system where the data is storing, in the Colossus, our whole data is storing physically, and but as part of view, what will happen here is your data won't store anywhere, but you can able to fetch data by using select statement. You will get the confusion here. Sir, you are saying that as part of the views, data is not storing anywhere, but you are only saying that you can able to fetch the data by using the select statement. How it is possible? That's the reason only we are discussing it as a virtual table. And what is meant by view here? View is kind of a virtual table. Now try to understand one more statement. We are going to create views on top of the tables. So what we are doing here, we are going to create the views on top of the tables. And for example, I am creating the view called as a emp_v. I am creating a view called as a emp_v. Now we are creating this view on top of what? As we discussed, we are creating this table, this view on top of the table. Okay. Now, for example, you try to give the answer now. I am given the query called as select star from emp_v. Now tell me how this query is going to execute, from where it is going to fetch the data. Any guesses?
Yeah, it will take the data from EMP.
What I'm doing here, I'm giving it as a select star from emp_v. Now tell me, this emp_v we are creating on top of what? We are creating on top of the table. Indirectly, whenever you are going to fire this query, what will happen is it will try to fetch the data from the employee table. But in the query, you are accessing the view or you are accessing the table. In the query, we are accessing the view only. But internally, what is happening? This view will hit on top of your table. From the table, it is going to fetch the data. That's the reason only we are saying that view is kind of a virtual table. It is not having the data physically. Virtually, we are having the data. But virtually, where we are having the data? Virtually, we are having the data on top of your table. That's the reason whenever anyone is asking the question, what is the difference between table and view? Difference between table and view. Simply what we can able to say here, we can able to say table data store physically, but view data will not store physically. Simply we can able to say our table data is storing physically in the database system or in the Colossus as part of our BigQuery. But coming to view, what is happening here? Your data is not storing physically anywhere. All data is fetching from the table only. Now immediately some people can able to get the question like this, Andy. Sir, you are given the select star from the view and you are telling that internally this view will hit on top of the table. From the table only it is fetching the data. Now instead of given the select star from emp_v, why I cannot able to give it as a select star from emp only? Is it a valid question or invalid question? Definitely it's a valid question. And so see here, what I'm telling, whenever I'm going to fire the query on top of the view, indirectly what is happening here? This view internally hitting on top of your table, employee table. From the employee table only it is fetching the data. In the situation, instead of writing the query, we can able to write the directly query like this only, right? Why we are writing the query separately like this? To understand that, here we need to understand what all are the uses of the views. So we need to understand what is the uses of the views. And so far we are discussing what is the view. Whenever we are going to create the view, what is happening? What is the view here? View is nothing but it's a kind of a virtual table. Whenever we are going to create the view, what's happening here? Your data is not storing physically. Your data is storing only in the virtual way. And just I will add the syntax of creation of the table. It's very simple syntax, Andy. We can able to give it as create view, view name as select star from table name. So see here what I'm giving. I'm given the view syntax is whenever you want to create the view, we have to give it as a create view, view name as select star from the table name. This is the syntax we have to provide. Now you tell me, whenever I'm going to create the view, on top of what we are creating the view? On top of the table. Now you want to try to give the answer. When I'm going to execute this query now, after creation of the view, for example, here I'm giving it as example. Create view, view name as select star from emp table. This is the way I'm creating the emp_view table. View, for example, not table. We are creating a view. Now I'm giving query like this. Select star from emp_v. Now tell me how this query is going to execute. We are firing query on top of what? We are firing query on top of the view. Firing query on top of the view. Whenever we are going to fire the query on top of the view, what will happen is internally this query will fetch view definition. What it is going to fetch here? It is going to fetch the view definition. Here, what is the meaning of view definition? How you created this view? Create view, view name as select star from the table. This is the view definition, and it is trying to fetch the view definition. Within the view definition, on top of what we are creating the view here? On top of the table, we are creating the view. For that reason, now it will read data from emp table in your example, okay? Or I can even say in the above example. In above example, it is trying to fetch the view definition. After fetching the view definition, in the view definition, we are creating this view on top of what? On top of our employee table. After fetching the view definition, it is going to fetch the data on top of your employee table. This is the way your query will execute in our internal system. And now in this overall process, do we have any data in the emp_v? No, but you are having the linkage between the emp_v to the emp table. Indirectly, where we are having the data physically? In that table, you are having the data physically, but on top of this table, we are creating an object called as a view. It is acting as a virtual object. On top of this object, you are going to read the data from the table. But coming back to our question, instead of creating the view, why we cannot able to perform the same operation on top of the table? If you want to understand that, first we need to understand what is the usage of the view only. Here we can able to say, whenever you want to hide the columns from end users. So what is the first requirement here? Our first usage, whenever you want to hide the columns from the end user, in such kind of requirements, we can able to go for the views. In the same way, whenever you want to hide data from the table, whenever you want to hide the columns from the table to the end users, or whenever you want to hide the data from the table to the end users, in the both the scenarios, what we can do here, we can able to go for the views. Okay. Now we'll try to understand the example here. For example, in my table, I'm having employee ID column, employee name column, and I'm having the mail ID. I'm having mobile number, and I'm having the salary. So like this, we're having some columns and now this is the employee table, for example. Now my requirement is I want to give access to this table to my end users, but they should not able to see data for mail ID and mobile number. So this is my requirement, and I want to give the access on top of the table. But when I'm giving the access on top of this table to some other user, what is my requirement? That user should not able to see data for the mail ID column. That user should not able to see data for the mobile number column. For example, here that end user is X. Now as a X person, which columns he want to see only? He need to see data for only EAD column and e-name column and only salary column. I am giving the access to the end user. When I am giving the access to the end user, I want to give the access for only EAD column and e-name column and salary column. Only for these columns, I want to give the access. For the remaining columns, I don't want to give any kind of access only. Now you tell me here, how we can able to restrict the access here? How we can able to restrict the access here for few columns? What I can do? It's very simple. Just now what we are doing is we are going to create the view like this. Create view name as select. Now from the employee table, which columns we need to fetch? Only EAD column, e-name column and salary column from employee table. So this is the way I will create the view only. After that, I will give access on top of this view to my end user. In our example, I'm calling him as a X. So what I'm doing here, I am creating the view. And while creation of the view, I am reading the data from the employee table. But here we are giving the star, or we are giving the only few columns. I am giving only few columns. Which columns I'm giving here? I'm giving it as a EAD column and e-name column and salary column. I am giving only these three columns only. After creation of the view, what I'm doing here, I am giving the access on top of this view to the end user. I am not giving the access to the table. I am not giving the access for all the columns. And what I'm doing here, I am giving the access to the view to the end user. Okay, after that, my end user is going to fire the query like this: select star from emp_v. Now tell me, this end user is going to see data for which columns when he is going to fire the query on top of this view? Which columns you can able to see now? Only EAD column and e-name column and salary column. What is the reason? Whenever we are going to run the queries on top of the view, what will happen? It will go to the view definition. In the view definition, which columns we given? Only EAD column and e-name column and salary column. That's the reason it is he can able to see data for only these three columns only. Indirectly from the employee table, which columns we are hiding? We are hiding mail ID column and mobile number column only. Indirectly, as per the requirement, whenever you want to hide the columns from the end user, in such kind of situation, what we can do here, we can able to create the view. But are we doing anything differently here? Nothing only. We are given the same select statement, but in the select statement, instead of given the star, what I'm doing here, I am given the only specific columns as per my requirement. With that, our end user cannot able to see data for all the columns. He can able to see data for only particular columns on top of this view. Okay. Now tell me, to this X user, we will give access on the table or view. If you are going to provide the access on top of the table, what will happen? He can able to see data for all the columns. But my requirement is I want to give access for only particular columns only. In the situation, in this example, we need to give the access on top of the table or view here to the end user. Obviously, we need to give the access on top of the views. Indirectly, with the help of the views, what they are doing here, we are restricting the access. At the same time, we are going to hide the columns by depending on our requirement. Okay. In the same way, if you observe here, what is the second one telling? What is the one more purpose of the view? Whenever you want to hide the data from the table only, as per your requirement, whenever you want to hide the data from the table, in such kind of requirements also, we can able to go for the views. Okay, we'll see one simple example. Again, I'm having EID, e-name, department ID, and salary columns. For example, here I'm having employee ID 1, name XX, department ID 10, and salaries, for example, 1000. Okay, just assume that in the employee table, we are having the data like this in this example. Now my requirement is, I don't want to display department ID 20 data to my end users. For example, in the department ID 20, whomever is working, for example, they are the kind of a high confidential people. And just assume that, okay, in the department ID 20, whomever is working, all those people are kind of a high confidential people. For that reason, I want to restrict this data to the end user. I want to display data for only 10 department data. I want to display data for only 30 department data. But as an end user, I don't want to display the data for department ID 20 data here. In the situation, what we can do here again? We can able to create the view, but now you try to give the answer. What is the syntax we need to use to create the view in this example? Create view, view name as what next? Select star from table name. After that, where department ID equal to 20 or not equal to 20? We need to give not equal to 20 because I want to restrict the data for department ID not equal to 20, and for that reason I'm giving it as a not equal to 20. Now after creating a view like this, now as the end user, for example, we are going to write the query like this, select star from emp_v. Now tell me what will happen whenever we are going to fire the query on top of the where it will go. It will go to your view definition. In the view definition, what I given? Select star from EMP table where department ID not equal to 20. With that, from this table, which records he can able to see? He can able to see data for only 3 records which are related to your department ID 10 and 20 and D. But in this overall example, to the end user, what we are restricting? We are restricting the columns or we are restricting the rows? As part of this example, we are restricting the rows and indirectly by depending on our requirement. But with the help of the views, what we can do here, you can able to hide the columns or you can able to hide the data. If you want to hide the columns or hide the data, our syntax is same and the only thing is nothing but if you want to hide the columns, in the select statement, specify only particular columns. If you want to hide the data, we need to specify the condition within the view definition. With that, you can able to hide the columns or you can able to hide the data by depending on our requirement. Now my requirement, last requirement here, I want to hide data and also columns. Now, which is nothing but to the end user, I want to display data for only EAD column, ename column and salary column. I want to display data for only 3 columns and display data for only department ID not equal to 20 employees. Now tell me what we have to do.
In the query instead of star, we can.
Syntax wise, it's very same and is create view name as what next? Do we need to give the star or we have to give the specific columns? My requirement is I want to give access for only particular columns and for that reason, instead of giving the star, I'm giving it as a specific columns. After that, I'm giving from employee table. From employee table, you want to display data for all the data or you want to limit the data here? I want to limit the data. Which records you want to display the data? Only department ID not equal to 20 employees data I want to display. For that reason, we are going to apply the filter condition called as a where department ID not equal to 20. This is the way also we can able to create the views and indirectly as part of this example, what I'm doing? I am restricting the columns at the same time I'm restricting the data also. Sometimes we have to restrict the data, we have to restrict the columns also, and in the situation again we are going to use the same syntax only, but only thing is nothing but in the select statement we are given the only specific columns. At the same time in the filter we are going to apply the condition like that. You can able to restrict the data and also you can able to restrict the columns. Like this, we need to understand what is the purpose of the views here. Whenever you want to hide the data or whenever you want to hide the columns in such kind of requirements, what we can do, simply we can able to create the views. After creation of the views, we are providing the access to the end user only on top of the views. And one more very important thing you need to understand, in real-time projects, as a end user, they are going to have access only on top of the views. Okay, so in the interview, they will ask a question like this, Andy. In your project, why you are building data warehouse system and who is going to access the data? Generally, they will ask a question like this. In your project, why you are building data warehouse system and who is going to access the data? What is the purpose of data warehouse system as we discussed earlier? What is data warehouse? Collection of data from different types of sources, converting the data into organized format for the purpose of
Analysis.
Doing analysis to take the decisions. Indirectly, why we are building data warehouse system? For the purpose of doing analysis to take the decision. But in the real-time projects, who is going to perform analysis and to take the decisions? As a developer, are you going to perform any analysis? No, Andy.
No.
Our business people will perform all this kind of operation. You are given the answer. My business people want to do analysis on top of the organization data. For that reason, we are building the data warehouse system. After that, they are asking the question as part of your interview, Andy. How your business people is going to access your data warehouse system? You are given the answer as by using tables. Now tell me, is the correct answer? It's a perfectly wrong answer, Andy. With this answer, he can able to understand you are a kind of a fake employee, because in the real-time project, as a business people, they are going to access the data. But how they are going to access the data? Not by using the tables here. Here we have to say by using views. Okay, and here we can able to say we are giving limited access on top of the views as per requirement, and we are going to provide the access on top of the views. On top of the views only my business people are going to perform the analysis. If you remember our BigQuery end-to-end flow, what is the end-to-end flow only in the BigQuery? First step, you are getting the data from the GCS, or I can able to say you are getting the data from the source stream to the landing zone. After that, from the landing zone, we are loading the data to the GCS by using our GS util commands. After that, we are loading data to confirm zone. After that, we are loading data to semantic zone. After that, we are going to maintain the visualization zone. In this visualization zone, what we are going to create? We are going to create the views. On top of the views only, what will happen? Our end users are going to access the data. But in the previous classes, we haven't discussed about what is the view only. But as part of today's session, we are trying to understand what is the view. Now tell me, creation of the view is a simple activity or complex activity? It's a very, very simple activity. It's a very simple command. Create view name as select all the columns from the table. Then we need to apply the where condition. With that, you can able to create the views as part of our real-time projects. But tell me here, what is the main purpose of the view here? Whenever you want to hide the columns or whenever you want to hide the data, in such kind of situations, we can able to create the views. One more statement, as an end user, whenever they want to access the data, whenever they want to see the data, are they going to use the tables or they are going to use the views? They are going to use the views. Okay. Now, once we understood all this information, now we need to understand what all are the types of the views we are having. We need to understand. Yeah, please.
Before going to that, actually, if I created views on my table, which I developed, then I know where I can premises, where I can apply the views on particular columns. Then who can understand that?
See, in the real time, we will get the requirements for views also. As part of the requirement, they will specify in this view what all are the columns we need to maintain. Okay, so what is going to happen here in the real-time projects? We are going to get the requirements on top of the views also, because without having the requirement, you cannot able to create the view, right? So in this example, what I'm doing here, I'm giving the generic columns and the AD column, ename column, and salary column. But if you're going to work in the real-time projects, you need to understand by using which columns you want to create the view. For that reason, we are going to get the requirements on top of the views also. In that requirement document or in that transformational document, they are going to clearly mention that for which columns you need to create the view. Accordingly, you are going to create the views on top of our real-time projects. Okay, with that, we are going to provide the access on top of that view to the end user. Then end user can able to see only those columns information on top of your views. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All the operations means you can able to perform the DDL operations on top of the views if you want as a developer, but you cannot able to perform the DML operations. What is the meaning of DML operations here? It's nothing but insert, update, and delete. Tell me here, in the view, do we have any data? It's a virtual table. Sorry? Yeah, what I'm saying is DDL operations you can able to perform. DDL, yes. But coming to DML, I can able to say no. Because DDL is nothing but we are going to do the operations on top of the structure. Here we can able to perform the create, alter, drop. All these are falling under the DDL operations. And on top of the view, you can able to perform the DDL operations, create or alter or drop, but we cannot able to perform the DML operation because in the views. Any question? Just 2 minutes. Okay. In the view, we are not having any kind of physical data. That's the reason on top of the views, we cannot able to perform the DML operations. And on top of the table, you can able to perform the DML operation, but on top of the view, we cannot able to perform the DML operations. But on top of the table, if you want, what we can do here, by depending on the requirement, after creation of the view, you can able to alter the view, or if you want, we can able to drop the view also. All those operations, we can able to call it as a DDL operations. For that reason, I am saying that on top of view, DDL operations are eligible, but on top of the view, DML operations are not eligible. Is it clear? Okay. Any other questions so far up to here?
So that means this view, after that view, we can create one more view or like that?
You mean view on top of the view?
So the view
Yeah,
detail.
create. Yeah. So for example, here, I am creating a view. So in this example, create view emp_v as select EID, ename, cell from emp table. For example, this is the first view I am creating, and I am creating the one more view like this. For example, create view emp_v1 as select star from emp_v. Now tell me in this second example, what I'm doing here? I am creating view on top of the view or on top of the table? On top of the view. Okay. Now tell me here, for example, if I am going to fire the query like this, select star from emp_v1. Now you try to give the answer, how this query is going to execute. It will go to view definition. Whenever we are going to fire the query any view only, what will happen? It will go to the view definition. In this view definition, what we are having? Select star from emp_v. Now tell me, this is a table or this is a table? Sorry, this is a view. Again, this is a view. Now from here, what will happen? It will go to the view definition of the emp_v. Here, what we are having? Select EID, ename, salary from the employee table, which is nothing but if you are going to create the view on top of the view, that query will execute, it will create the view. But when I'm going to fire the query here, what is happening here? It is going from emp_v1 to emp_v. Then it is going from emp_v to the emp table. Like that, on top of the view, we can able to create the one more view also by depending on our requirement. But as part of execution, it will go from this view definition to here. From here, it will go to this view definition. But finally, from where it is fetching the data? From the table only, it is fetching the data. So like this, in the real time, sometimes we need to create the views on top of the tables, or we are going to create the views on top of the views also by depending on our requirement.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Okay, sir. Yeah, clear. This definitions where will store, sir?
Structure is storing internally, right? So internally, we are going to have the system tables, and in the system tables, all your table definitions will store.
Okay.
Yeah, I have same.
It's nothing but it's a kind of a metadata. It's a metadata actually. So are you only tell me whenever we are going to create the table structure, where it is storing? If you remember, as part of MySQL, we discussed about one system table. What is the table? In the MySQL, whenever we are going to create the table, where the table structure is going to store? INMODB underscore some schema table is there. In the schema table, it is storing all the structure. In the same way, if you are going to create the view also, in the view, what we are doing? We are going to create the view structure that indirectly we can able to call it as a metadata. All that information is going to store on top of your system tables. Is it clear? Okay. Any other questions before going?
Yeah, I have similar type of question.
Yeah,
can we that requirement come like can we create a table on top of the view so that unsupposed reporting team is analyzing?
Can we create table on top of the view? You are asking. Okay. So yes, see here, if you want to do this activity, create table. I'm giving the table name is, for example, emp_t1. Okay. After that, as select star from emp_v. This is the way also you can able to create the table. But generally in the real time, we are not going to perform this activity only. But coming to your question, whenever you are having that kind of requirement, if you want, what we can do here, you can able to create the tables on top of the view also. But tell me here, this table is depending on the view or it is depending on the view table only again. Create table emp_t1 as select star from the emp_v. Indirectly, what is happening here? You are creating emp_t1 table on top of which table?
EMP.
On top of EMP table. Okay. Your query is looking like emp_t1. You are creating on top of the emp_v and d. But if I'm going to fire this query, what will happen? It is going to take the view definition. As part of view definition, what I given here, I given the table. Indirectly on top of this table, whatever the data we are having, by using that data, we are going to create the one more table called as a emp_t1 table. In general, in the real time, we are not going to create the tables on top of the views. But if you are having such kind of requirement, you can able to perform that operation without having any kind of issues. Is it clear?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions still up to here?
Yes, sir. So
Just 1 second. Olympic now. Just 1 minute. Yeah, continue, Andy.
yeah, so if we change any structure for the real table, will it affect the view table, sir?
A good question, Andy. So someone is asking the question. For example, in the employee table, I'm having the 5 records. Just assume that in the employee table, I'm having the 5 records. I am creating the emp_view. Now, for example, this is on day 1. Just assume that on day 1 in the employee table, we are having the 5 records. Now I created the view on day 1. Okay. Now I'm running the query like this. Let us start from emp_v. Now tell me how many records we are going to see if I'm going to fire the query on top of emp_v. It will display all the 5 records. Okay. Now this is on day 1. Now, for example, same table coming to day 2. In this table, just assume that you added the 5 more records. Now, how many records we are having in the day 2? In the employee table, you are having 10 records only. Now coming to day 2, you are firing the same query one more time. I'm giving it as a select star from emp_v. This is the query I'm firing. Now you try to give the answer. How many records this query will throw in the output? Please think about entire concept of the view, whatever we are discussing from the last 10 to 15 minutes. Based on that, you try to give the answer. Coming to day 2, if I am going to fire this query, how many records we are going to get? We are going to get the 5 records, or we are going to get the 10 records?
10 records.
10 records.
10 records.
5 records.
This is the wrong answer. This is the correct answer. Sir, how? How, Andy? Whenever we are going to fire on top of the views, what is happening? It is going to the view definition. In the view definition, what I given? Select star from emp table. Now coming to day 2 in the emp table, how many records we are having? 10 records. So by default, what will happen? It will display all the 10 records only, which is nothing but on top of the view, you are not performing any loading operation. It's a, you can tell me here, view creation is a one-time activity or it's a kind of a daily activity? It's one-time activity.
One time.
It's a one-time activity. We are not going to create the view on the daily basis only. It's a one-time activity. But whenever you are going to fire the queries on top of the view, what is happening here? It is going to the view definition. In the view definition, generally we are given the query called as a select star from the table. Whenever we are given the select star from the table, it is going to give the day 1 data or day 2 data or whole data. It will give the whole data. For that reason here, what I can able to say, it is going to give all the 10 records on top of your output. So indirectly on top of the table, whatever the operations we are going to perform, every operation automatically will reflect on top of your views. Now, for example, see here, coming to day 3. Now on top of this table, just assume I am adding 5 more records and I am removing 3 records. Removing is nothing but deleting only. We are adding the 5 more records. After that, I am removing the 3 records on the day 3. Now tell me, on day 3, if I am going to fire the same query again one more time, how many records now we are going to get?
12.
12.
Well, any other answers? 5 records or 10 records or 12 records?
10
Just
records.
think and give the answer. So see, now how many records actually we loaded on the 3rd day? 5 more records we loaded. Indirectly, total we are having the 15 records only. But after that, again, what I have done? I removed the 3 records. Here I will mention, I deleted the 3 more records from this table, which is nothing but in the employee table. Now, how many records we are having total? 15 or 12. We are having the only 12, which is nothing but on the day 3, if I am going to fire the same query one more time, what will happen? It is going to give only 12 records only. It is going to give only 12 records on top of your output. Indirectly, if you are doing the insert operations or if you are doing the update operations or if you are going to perform the delete operation, all those operations will reflect on top of your views. Okay. So coming back to question someone is asking, Andy. So whenever you are going to load the data on top of the table, automatically it will reflect on top of your views. By seeing all these examples, try to understand whenever we are going to perform insert or update or delete operations on top of the table, automatically it will reflect on top of your views. Okay. Now you tell me, if you are going to perform any kind of DML operations on top of the table, it will reflect automatically into your views. Okay. I'm repeating the same point one more time. Just try to give the answer. If you are going to perform any kind of DDL operations on top of the table, will it reflect on top of your views? It's a question. Try to give the answer here. On top of the table, if you are going to perform any kind of DDL operations, will it reflect on top of the views automatically? For example, see here, employee table, I'm having the columns like this. I'm having the EAD column, ename column, salary column, and DAD column. I am creating the view like this, emp_v. In the view structure, I'm giving it as a create view, view name. As here I'm giving select EAD comma, ename comma, sal comma, DAD from EMP table. Okay. Now this is the way we are creating the view on top of your table. Now, for example, in this table, I am doing the alter operation. That is the one of the DDL operation. Here I'm adding the new column called as a, for example, ID1 column. Okay. Now see, for example, if I am going to fire this query, select star from EMP_v. Now tell me how many columns it will display.
Only the view created columns.
Display
What
only
are the
EAD
view
column,
created?
ename column, salary column, and DAD column, and it will display the ID1 column also.
No,
right?
no.
Because it is going to the view definition. In the view definition, in the select statement, which columns we given? Only these 4 columns. For that reason, it is giving only 4 columns information, and indirectly, whatever the DDL operation you are doing on top of the table, it is not reflecting on top of your view, but your requirement is you want to reflect this column also on top of this view. Then what we have to do? We need to change the structure of the view. So what I can do here? Just I'm going to add the one more column here. I'm going to add the column. With that only you can able to see the ID1 column. Indirectly, whenever you are going to perform any kind of DDL operations, it is not going to reflect on top of your views. But what about the DML operations? It will reflect automatically on top of your table. Don't ask me what is the DML, what is the DDL and D. What's the DML? Insert, update, delete. What is the DDL? Create, alter, drop. Okay. These are the few more points we need to understand on top of the views. Okay. Now tell me, for example.
Sir, here.
Just 1 second. Drop table, EMP table. After that, I'm giving the query called as select star from EMP_v. Now you try to give the answer. What will happen?
We throw error.
First question. For this question, try to give the answer. What is the command running? Drop table, table name. I drop the table from the database system. After that, I am going to fire the query called as select star from the EMP_v. Now, this query will execute or it will go any kind of error.
Error.
Someone is saying error. Any other answers?
It will drop the view table.
Table or view doesn't exist.
See here, it will give the syntax error. What is the syntax error? Whenever we are going to fire the query on top of the view, where it will go? It will go to your view definition. Select EAD, ename, sal, DAD from the employee table. But tell me, do we have the employee table in the database system? You only drop the table, right? So what will happen? It will go there saying that employee table does not exist. Okay. One more question here. Whenever we are going to drop the table, will it drop the view automatically?
No. View will
answer is yes or
no.
Answer is
no.
Because both are the same objects or both are the 2 different objects. One is a table, one is a view. If you want to create the table, we have to give the create command. If you want to create the view, we have to give the create command. If you want to drop the table, we have to give the drop command. In the same way, if you want to drop the view also compulsory, we have to give the drop command only. Don't assume that whenever I'm going to drop the table, automatically it will drop the view only. That operation is not going to happen. If you want to drop the view compulsory, what we have to do here? We need to give the command. What's the command? Drop view name. Okay. In the same way, I will ask one more question here. Whenever we are going to drop the view, will it drop the table automatically?
No.
Answer is yes, sir.
No.
Answer is again no only. So just for understanding, for some of the people, I'm giving both the statements. Whenever we are going to drop the table, it won't drop the view. In the same way, whenever you are going to drop the view, it is not going to drop the table. All these are the few more points we need to understand on top of the views. Okay. Yes, someone trying to ask the question. Online people here.
Yes,
Please
yes.
continue.
Having two questions, sir.
Yeah,
The
please.
first one is like we already altered the table in the main table, okay, main object.
Yep.
So it won't be affected in the view, okay. So after sometimes we need to update that one as well, like alter that view as well.
Okay.
But is there any alter command for the view, or we give this create?
Yeah, we are having the alter command. So we are having the alter command. So what I told you earlier, on top of the views, you can able to perform any DDL operation. What is meant by DDL? You can do the create operation, you can perform the alter operation, you can able to perform the drop operation. If you want to add the columns on top of the view, you can able to give it as a alter view name. After that, you can give it as a simply add column. But tell me, whenever you want to add the columns on top of the table, what is the syntax we have to give? Try to give the answer, other people. Whenever you want to add the columns on top of the table, what is the command we are giving? Alter table name.
Add
Column.
column
I'm giving column name, for example, ID1,
Data
then I'm
type.
giving it
and
as
data
a
type.
integer.
Data type.
Okay, now tell me, on top of the views, when we are going to add the column, do we need to give the data type? Do we need to give the data type? It's
No,
not
no,
required only
it's-
because on top of the view, you are storing the data physically or just say virtually.
Virtually.
Virtually. That's the reason no need to add any data types while adding the columns on top of the views. And indirectly comment to your question, I'm giving the answer. On top of the views, you can able to perform the alter operation also. But if you want to add the column, just we have to give it as a add column. No need to give any data type because here we are not storing any data physically. That's the reason just we can able to fire the query called as alter view name. Just we are giving it as a add column. That's it.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
what is the
and
second question?
yeah, second question is like, see, so it is a batch process, online process, whatever it is, the main table is loading, okay, updating. So like whenever the end user are trying to fetch the data, and also parallelly we are doing the update or insert in the main table. So at that time, do we need to lock the table, or automatically take care by the BigQuery?
It will take care by BigQuery only. No need to perform any kind of separate lock operations.
Okay. So when I'm trying to open that one, so it will throw error from end users. Like
it will throw error saying that some lock
uploaded.
is available on top of the table, so it is giving some kind of error like that. That's the reason generally we are going to perform the batch operations on the non-business hours only. So this problem will come where if you are going to perform the batch operations on the business hour, during the business hours, business people are going to perform the analysis. That's the reason in the real time what we will do, we are going to perform all the batch operations or data load operations on the non-business hours. What is the meaning of non-business hours? During the night time, we are going to perform the data load operations. With that, what will happen? Our end users won't face this kind of issues.
Okay, it is a end user, but if something same, other batch jobs also updating the same.
Okay.
So like Teradata is throwing, it's being mload or something like that, right? Some like same thing here also as well.
Yeah, same. So here it is going to apply the logs. Internally, it is going to handle all such kind of things. Okay. So whenever we are going to perform any kind of operations on top of the table, in parallel, if you are going to try to access the view, what will happen? It is giving some kind of error saying that on top of this table, some lock is updated, something like that. Okay. After completion of the batch load, again, what will happen? You can able to see data on top of your views.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, you are trying
So
to
this view is nothing but
no, just
SQL
1 second, Andy. Just 1 second. Offline people are asking one question. Just 1 minute.
Creating on top of the so our data will be like speed of data will be reduced or
no performance wise there is no difference, Andy. Just what is happening, we are adding a layer. So view on top of the view, but this view is pointing to what? This view is pointing to the table. So if you are going to create the simple views, there is no performance difference. But generally in the real time, we are going to create the different types of the views. One we are calling it as a simple view, other one we are calling it as a complex view. If you are going to create the complex view on top of the view, then might be there is the performance issues. But if you are creating the view on top of the view, if that is a simple view, then there is no kind of performance differences. Clear? Okay. Yeah. See for whenever you want to add the columns on top of the views, what is the prerequisite? That column should be available in the table. Otherwise, how you can able to get the data from the table? No, right? That's the reason. Whenever you are going to add the views on top of you, so whenever you want to add the columns on top of the view, you need to verify whether that column is present in the table or not. Then only you can able to add the column on top of your view only. Otherwise, if I'm going to fire the query select from the view, where it is going? It is going to your table. In that table, if that column is not available, what will happen? You are going to get the error. This column does not exist in the table. That's the reason. If you want, you can able to perform the altering operation. But before doing the altering operation, you need to verify whether this column is present on top of your table or not. Is clear?
experience on that.
Yes, correct. That's it. Okay. Yeah. Online people, someone is trying to ask the question. Please continue.
Is this SQL view and this BigQuery SQL view both are same?
Both are almost same only. So might be there are some very, very minor differences, but almost it is same between the MySQL and Teradata or SQL Server or BigQuery. In all the places, views are going to perform the similar kind of activities.
Syntax will be different.
Yes, in fact, no, syntax also same only. In the BigQuery also, if you want to create the view, you can able to use the same syntax.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Silly question is from my side. When BigQuery is auto commit, right, sir?
Yeah, correct.
So when we are updating a table, it's automatic commit, right?
Yes, correct.
So in that same time, if we are accessing to view, I think it should not come any log.
No, see, for the doing commit operation, it will complete within the milliseconds only. So mostly you are not going to get such kind of lock issues. But whenever you are going to get the lock issue, just you have to try after 1 minute or after 10 seconds or 20 seconds. If you can able to fire the query, you won't be able to see such kind of issues. Is it clear?
Yes.
See, commit is going to apply after completion of all the data load. For example, when I'm trying to load the data into one table, it is taking 5 minutes of time. In the situation, it is not going to apply the auto commit after completion of loading only, right? So for that reason, I'm saying that whenever any data loading operations are happening on top of the table, at that point of time, might be we can able to get some kind of log error when you are trying to access the views, okay? But after completion of data load, what will happen? Automatically, that error will be gone.
Yes.
Any other questions up here?
Yeah, so
regarding
the
this,
line 209.
So
you said that like when we drop the table, the view will not be dropped.
Yes.
But before we discuss that, when we drop the table, again when we query to search the view table, it will throw the error.
It will throw the error. But what is the error you are getting? You are getting the error as a view does not exist, or you are getting error as a employee table does not exist. You are getting the error as a employee table does not exist only because this view structure is depending on what? Your employee table. That's the reason you are going to get the error as a table does not exist, employee table, but it is not giving the error saying that view does not exist. Indirectly, on top of this view, still you are having the structure in the database system. What is the meaning of drop? It is going to remove the structure and also the data. But tell me, coming to view, we are having the data or we are having the only structure? We are going to have only the structure. So what is the meaning of the statement here? Whenever you are going to drop the table, it is not going to remove the structure of your mp_v. That's the reason if you are going to fire the query like this, what is happening here? It is not given the error saying that view does not exist. It is given the error saying that employee table does not exist because whenever we are going to fire the query, what will happen? It will go to the view definition. In the view definition, we are given the from employee table, but this employee table you already dropped. For that reason, you are getting the error as a employee table does not exist. It is not given the error, view does not exist.
Okay, got it.
It's clear, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions still?
Sir, regarding this use case scenario of hiding the data. So when originally in the table, another column gets added, so automatically the column get added, or we have to specify the alter command for the view as well.
That's the thing I told you, right? So if you are going to perform any, for example, if you are going to create the view like this, create view name as, I'm giving it as select star from table. This is one syntax I'm giving. Second syntax I'm giving it as create view name as select EAD comma ename from employee table. Okay, just observe here and someone is asking a question like this. Now this is the way I'm having the two different views. For example, in the first view, what I'm doing here, I'm giving the creating the view, just to be giving it as a create view name as select star from the EMP table. Now, for example, in the EMP table, I'm having the columns like this: EAD, ename, sal, and department ID. Now tell me, if I'm going to run this query, what will happen? Select start from emp_v1. What will happen? It will give data for all the columns, or it will give data for only few columns. It will give data for all the columns, like EAD column and ename column and salary column and DAD column. You are going to get data for all the columns because here what I'm giving it as a star. Okay. Now coming to this example, if I'm going to give the query as select star from the emp_v2, now how many columns we are going to get? EAD column and ename column, because in the view definition we are given the only two columns, and for that reason it is given the only those two columns information on top of your output. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is on top of this employee table, for example, I am adding a new column as a ID1 column. Just assume that here, this is the important thing. I am adding a new column called as a ID1 column, and after adding this column, I am going to fire the same query one more time. Now tell me how many columns we are going to get. emp_v1, this is the view query I'm running. Now if I'm going to run this query, it will display data for only these 4 columns, or it will display data for ID1 column also. It will display data for ID1 column also automatically. What's the reason? Because here I'm given the star, or I'm given the particular columns. I am given the star. Because I've given the star, if we are adding a column on top of the table, automatically what will happen? That column also will be coming as part of firing the query on top of the view. But if I am going to fire the query on top of the second one, now tell me what will happen, how many columns we are going to get? You are going to get the EAD column, ename column, and ID1 column also, or you are going to get only EAD column and ename column.
Only 2 columns.
Two
You are
columns.
going to get only 2 columns, because here we are given the structure manually. You are given the particular columns in the select statement. That's the reason you are going to get data for only EAD column and ename column. But now my requirement is, when I am going to fire the query on top of this view only, here I want to get the ID1 column also. Then what I need to do? Then we need to change the structure of your emp_v2 by using the alter command. You have to change the structure. With that, you can able to get the data for ID1 column as per your requirement. If you don't want to get this column, no need to do any kind of alters. But if you want to get this column, ID1 column as per your requirement, then on top of this view, you have to perform the altering operation. But on top of this view, do we need to perform any altering operation? It's not required, because here we are given the star. What is the meaning of star? It is going to take all the columns of your table automatically. That's the reason, by depending on the type of the view structure you are creating, might be we need to perform the altering operation, or we can able to skip the alter operation by depending on our requirements. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as well, we need to discuss about the types of views only. So we are having the 3 types of views we can able to say. One is the simple view. Second one, we are calling it as a complex view. And third one, we are having it as a materialized views. So like this, we are having the 3 different types of the views. So we'll discuss about this topic in the next section. So we are having the class at 11:45. So please attend the session only. In this session, we'll try to cover the simple view, complex view, and materialized view. At the same time, we'll try to cover some other topics. With that, we can able to cover all the topics on top of our BigQuery. And tell me, these views topic is related to only BigQuery, or it is applicable for the database concepts also? It is applicable for our database concepts also, Nandi, because same views we can able to see in the database side, same views we can able to see on top of our BigQuery also. Okay.
So merge also a DB concept, right?
So we'll discuss about this notice in the 11:45 session. Just I want to give some notice here, but we'll discuss about that as part of our 11:45 session. Okay. Yeah, that's all for today. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, we'll meet you at 11:45. Okay, nothing unnecessary, not a serious one. In this notice, just I want to inform you about the mock interviews. How you need to attend the mock interviews. That is one thing I want to discuss. And I want to discuss about pending one-on-ones. So some people have still need to complete the one-on-one. So these 2 are the topics I want to cover. We'll discuss about that as part of our 11:45 session. Okay. Okay, then we'll meet you at 11:45.